Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Jonathan Voico.
Hey, everybody.
And writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer-Burnett.
Happy Monday.
And most importantly, of course, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show a part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a lot of predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. There's a lot of stuff to get to. And then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, or a topic you'd like us to address, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. Now, the good news about this tip link is that it's actually good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you're listening to our show later in the day on one of our podcast feeds, say on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or if you're watching the show a little bit later in the day, you can still send in a question if you'd like. And if you send one in when we're not live, well, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, guys. With that down, happy Monday. And like I said, we got a hell of a lot of stuff to get to here today. So we're going to start things off with this. Comic-Con, of course, is coming up. One of the best events of the year for movies. I mean, it's also for many other things. It's a pop cultural conference, of course, but the movie world is always paying attention to Comic-Con, and it's usually topped off by a Saturday night Hall H panel by Marvel. Last year, of course, Marvel dropped bombs by announcing Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, and they brought out the brothers. They brought out RDJ, announced RDJ as the new Doctor Doom, and all that, the world exploded, right? What were they going to do this year? The answer is nothing. Because according to Deadline, Marvel is not going to San Diego Comic-Con this year, at least not doing a Hall H panel. This is what Deadline wrote. They said, Marvel will not need a spot in San Diego Comic-Con's cavernous Hall H this year, Deadline has confirmed. The news comes as Disney and Marvel's last week pushed the release date of its next big Marvel movies, Avengers Doomsday, to December of 2026, meaning that the studio will have Comic-Con 2026 to rev up fans. Sources said that led to the decision to set out this year's event, which runs July 24th through July 27th. I can say two things. Number one, I'm disappointed because, I mean, listen, James Gunn is going to be there. He's going to be talking about the whole slate of the DCU, so that's exciting. There's going to be other things as well. And by the way, Marvel will have a presence at Comic-Con. They're going to have a spot on the showroom floor. They're going to do some other things. Just, again, no big Hall H presentation this year, which is what they're most known for. So number one, I am disappointed. I'm disappointed that we're not getting it. But number two, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Once they moved Doomsday, because Doomsday was going to come out before next year's Comic-Con. So you couldn't do your big push, Comic-Con push for it next year. It would have made sense. But now that it has moved till after, like 5 months after next year's Comic-Con, well, you pump up Doomsday at that Comic-Con. You don't waste your breath trying to hype it up right now. I was doing an open mic this weekend, and one of our viewers understandably wrote in and said, man, I really think they should be using Comic-Con to hype up Doomsday this year. To which I said, why?
Yeah.
What's the point? Hype for a movie is like vegetables in your kitchen. You can put them out on the counter, but they're only fresh for so long, and eventually they just wither and die. Hype dissipates. It disappears. So any benefit you get from hyping up Doomsday now is going to be gone by September or October. It's literally a fruitless effort. And besides that, we don't even know if a Spider-Man movie is coming out, because right now it's dated, but I mean, that's going to be up to Sony anyway. I think they've got 1 or 2 Disney Plus shows coming out between now and next Comic-Con. So look, I'm disappointed. I do look forward to Marvel's presentation every year. They always do a bang up job, but I get it. And I think they're probably making the right decision. Rob, you heard about this. Good move, bad move. What do you think?
I think you nailed it. I mean, other than, okay, you've got Ironheart coming out, and I know people are clamoring for that Ironheart series. Sorry. But other than Fantastic Four, which will already be out when Comic-Con rolls around, there's really nothing for them to hype, like you just said. I'm curious because I'm really curious about Terry Metalis' Vision series that they've been shooting since really the beginning of the year.
And still no announcement when that's supposed to come out.
No,
Has there been?
they haven't really said anything about it. We don't even know, what is the title still Vision Quest? What is it? We don't know. I'm sure it's going to be great, though. And Wonder Man sort of remains undated. And I heard last year, I was talking to somebody from Marvel. They were excited about the show. He said the show was good. I'll tell you what,
I am ever so slowly starting to get interested in that. At first I didn't have a lot of interest, but I got to admit, it's starting to pique my curiosity.
They haven't announced either one, but Wonder Man and Vision in the comics are both huge players in the Avengers.
Right.
So, they also bring a certain level of power to the team that they might need. So maybe part of Doom's, I don't know. I don't think they know yet. So it makes perfect sense to me that they're not going to Hall H this year.
Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? A big announcement. Marvel, who always has such a big impact on Comic-Con, will not be doing a Hall H presentation this year. It's disappointing, but it's also completely understandable. I expect them to do a banger one next year. Like next year, I expect them to blow the roof off. But this year, not going to be there. So we'll keep our attention on DC and what James Gunn is going to do. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Megan was one of these little horror movies, horror comedy, whatever you want to call it, that kind of came out and caught us all by surprise. Like, it was far more charming and entertaining, I think, than it had any business being. And it really caught on. Like, people really kind of caught on to this little low budget, simple premise, kind of a little horror shtick. So of course they were going to be doing a sequel. The first couple of teasers and trailers for Megan 2 have been good. They've been good. Well, they have just released what they are now calling the final trailer for Megan. And as the folks over at Gizmodo put in their title, the new Megan 2.0 trailer is hilariously over the top, and we can't wait. And I, my wife Ann is now Dr. Ann Campea, and since I'm married, I guess I should be able to call myself Dr. Campea. Dr. Campea concurs. I concur, Doctor. This trailer is perfect. And I say that in the context that it's perfect for a Megan sequel trailer.
Right.
Like if this was a brand new franchise and I just saw this trailer cold, and this is a brand new franchise, there wasn't an original Megan movie, and you just put out this trailer, I'd be looking at this trailer and probably going, this is so dumb. This is so dumb. But I have seen the original Megan. I know what the blood and the DNA of this movie franchise are. And for this franchise, understanding what it is that appealed to the viewers of the first one, this is a perfect trailer for this franchise. Again, if it was any other franchise, I would look at this trailer and say, that's kind of stupid. They shouldn't have done that. Blah, blah. But for Megan, I thought it looked baller. Even all the quote unquote dad jokes that are in it. Hold on to your vaginas.
Oh my gosh.
Stupid and cringy. But
it worked for this though.
But it worked for this, for a Megan 2.0 trip. For whatever reason, it works here, and I would totally be crapping on it if that line was in any other trailer. Anyway, Rob, you saw the trailer for Megan 2. First of all, I can't remember. What did you think about the first one? And what do you think about this trailer?
The first Megan was a hoot. It was fun. I had a good time with it. That's what I like when the filmmakers know what they're doing. They know what the assignment they've been given is. Dude, I watched this trailer. I think I laughed out loud 3 times or something. I mean, this is Aliens to Megan's Alien. This is Lethal Weapon. This is Lethal Weapon 2. The first Lethal Weapon was kind of this morose, but with Lethal Weapon 2, it opens with the Warner Brothers Looney Tunes, dun, 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 and then you have Riggs smashing the top of this car as they're driving down. I mean, this They absolutely knew the assignment. I walked in here and said to you, "Oh my God, it's the Final Destination Bloodlines of the Megan series."
The Megan cinematic
Of the Megan cinematic universe, and I was like, "Come on."
Yeah, we just got to hear the mom say, "I'm getting too old for this."
Yeah, I mean, it was Allison Williams looks like she's much more engaged in this movie. I like that she's got like a bigger part. Look, it's hilarious. I mean, they've taken all of these elements from Evil AI, Terminator, call it what you want, and put it together in this frothy concoction. I mean, if this is the direction these franchises are going in, I'm all for it because these filmmakers know what they want. They know what the audience wants. And
This looks like Rom.
Rom Space Night.
Yeah.
Or
Night.
Rom Space Night.
It does actually.
Or
a more advanced Cylon.
Yeah, more events. Yeah. I mean, come on. Who doesn't love this? This is like
This shot was ridiculous.
I know, but so good.
Now I'll say this. The one negative thing that kind of creeped in my head a little bit as I was watching the trailer was I think they're showing a little too much.
Yeah.
Like when they showed the mom wearing the battle exoskeleton suit, I thought this is something that should have been saved for the movie. But then they end that sequence in the trailer with Megan talking to her, says, "My sensors are showing you are aroused." And I'm like, okay, that's freaking hilarious. Like it turned her on, beating the shit out of a whole bunch of people.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
that,
look,
that was funny. It worked.
Yeah, it worked to me, and it is. Look, I love Companion. I guess we're just in the era of evil, or female robot.
And what was it? There was another movie showcased at CinemaCon this year. I don't know if you were in this panel or not. That is yet another one that's like Companion and
Yes.
Megan, where this female robot has gained
Yes.
agency and now she's killing people. I can't remember the name of what that one is though, but somebody's saying the live chat's called Soulmate. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah,
But it's like, isn't that just Companion and Megan and whatever? Maybe it'll be its own movie.
but Companion was great.
Oh yeah, Companion was really fun.
So
All right, guys. Question is for you. Did you have a chance to see the new trailer for Megan 2.0, the final trailer for Megan 2.0? If so, what did you think? Listen, I'm not going to blame you at all if you thought it just looked cringy and over. I'm not going to blame you. I totally get it. But for whatever reason, for me with this franchise, it's like a perfect trailer for it. I don't know. However you felt about it, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? July is coming, and we've got a lot of big movies coming. I mean, just right off the top of my head, Jurassic, Superman, Fantastic Four, and a few other offerings coming out in July as well. It's going to be a big month. And I personally think all of them look like a lot of fun. I'm shocked that I'm actually even thinking this Jurassic World movie looks like it's going to be pretty good. But the big question a lot of people are having is, man, Superman versus Fantastic Four, should they be opening up this close to each other? They probably hate that they're going up against each other. Well, James Gunn, of course, the co-CEO, head of all things DC, and by the way, the director of Superman, was recently asked about, hey, you and Fantastic Four opening up against each other in July. What do you think? I don't know if they were fishing for animosity because everybody likes the spice. Everybody likes that. But James Gunn gave a response to that and his thoughts on the fact that these two big movies are opening up together. And I love his comments. This is what James Gunn had to say. Says they come out 2 weeks after us, talking about Fantastic Four. They come out 2 weeks after us. There's room for both of us. I love my friends at Marvel. You can find whatever discussion you'd want to find online. I'd focus on all the positivity around the films instead of getting sucked up in some online war. I love that. And, somebody asked me the other day on my open mics, said, hey, do you think like the whole Marvel fanboys versus DC fanboys war has cooled down? And honestly, the answer is yes. It totally has. Partially because that war's over. Marvel won. Marvel won that war, right? So there's but now we got a new one. Like we got a brand new DCU that I think has a lot of hope and a lot of promise. I cannot wait for Superman. It's my most anticipated film of the year. But even aside from that, I mean, I think it's true. I think the more and more guys like Kevin Feige came out and said, like literally came out and said, hey man, I'm cheering for DC. Like if the better movies DC puts out, that'll make the movie going audience more and more excited for comic book movies. That helps us. And of course, he gave the old quote. He said, rising tide raises all ships, sort of thing. James Gunn and of course Kevin Feige are extremely tight. James Gunn said in an interview after he got hired, he said the very first person I called was Kevin Feige. First guy I called to let him know. And he was so happy for me and blah, blah, blah. Now, I still don't believe, despite the fact that we're getting a Deadpool Batman comic book, I still don't believe that means at all we're going to get a DC and Marvel crossover movie. Not in the least. But I think James Gunn saying that kind of also highlights that this is kind of a new era. I think the old DC versus Marvel thing. Listen, we all want great movies. I'm a DC fan. I'm a Marvel fan. I just want good movies. And one of the other interesting things, Rob, that he points out here is when he says they come out 2 weeks after us. 6, 7 years ago, even. Opening another big movie just 2 weeks after another big movie would have been thought risky. Today, it seems like 1 week apart is enough. We're seeing more and more big movies open up. We just had Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible. And they both made big money. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Of course, the Barbenheimer thing. That doesn't mean you should release 2 superhero movies on the same weekend. But like 1 week apart is now okay. And 2 weeks apart, plenty of room for it now. And it's funny because even when I was still at Collider, I don't think I would have thought that. But today it seems like, 2 weeks separating, that's a huge buffer. Not a big deal at all. Anyway, Rob, you saw James's comments here. What stood out to you and what are the things that pop into your head?
Well, again, like you said, 2 weeks apart in this day and age doesn't mean much. I mean, everyone thinks, it's superhero movies to me are like cop movies or lawyer TV shows. I mean, how many shows about doctors and lawyers and cops are on TV? One follows another sometimes. I don't think that matters as much as the quality of the product. If both movies are great, and Fantastic Four and Superman when kids are out of school and families can go to the movies and they deliver, like you always say, experiential events. If you walk out of those theaters with a big smile on your face, everyone's going to be happy. I mean, and the way we know movies come out every week, people who are interested in movies like, oh, I wonder what comes out this week. They look, they see there's huge awareness for both of these movies. And let's be real. Everybody that's watching this show right now is rolling out for each one of those movies in the first day or two that they're open. This audience, our audience that's watching us right now, wants to see both of these movies.
Yeah.
And they're going to go. And if the movies are good, they'll probably go multiple times. So I don't think that there's any, like you said, a high tide raises all ships. If people are having fun at the movies, they're going to go back to the movies. And we've been in a pretty good... Ever since, the early box office slump of 2025, once we kind of hit Minecraft, Minecraft and Sinners, give it to Warner Brothers, give it to Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca, because the triple shot of Minecraft, Sinners, and Final Destination, I mean, the amount of money Final Destination is making is extraordinary.
Yeah, I mean, that movie, nobody saw this coming. If you had asked me 6 months ago, before CinemaCon, do you think Final Destination can make over $200 million? I would say you're crazy. I would have said you're crazy, but it's already made over.
Producer Steve Perry knew, though.
Yeah, yes, he did. And that's the fun. You're kind of alluding to this. If you were to ask Matt Shackman or Kevin Feige right now, what is the one thing they're hoping for most leading up to the release of their Fantastic Four movie? They are begging the movie gods for Superman to be awesome.
Yeah.
Because if Superman is awesome, and all those people who do go to see it, however many go, and they come out of a superhero, a big tentpole superhero film and go, that was a lot of fun. You know what they're going to do in 2 weeks? They're going to go see Fantastic Four if they had a great time at that. So that's what they're hoping for more than anything.
And that's what, it's very funny because that's what washes away. If a movie's good, all the online punditry and all the naysayers get swept away. I mean, people could start the buzz on Final Destination when people started to see it. I don't think there was any vitriol. People like the Final Destination franchise. But once it was known just how good it is, look at what it did to the box office.
Yeah.
You know, people go.
Yep.
And when they hear things in the ether that, oh, this movie's a lot of fun, and look at the Rotten Tomato score and blah, 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 it's much easier for people to just make, and also snap decisions. What are you doing today? I don't know. You want to go see Superman? Sure. I heard it was good. You know, then they go. And then they tell their friends, like, oh my God, it was so much better than I thought it was going to be. And I felt that way about, I knew it was going to be good at CinemaCon. We saw that clip.
Oh my God. That was impressive.
But the whole movie was impressive.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was, for what it is.
Yes.
For what it is.
But for what it is, it's a blast.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing that people, I've always talked about. I call it movies at scale. You have to judge, like, you can't expect Final Destination to be Gandhi.
Right.
You know, it's within what a Final Destination could be. It blew the roof off the house. But that's a certain kind of a
it's like
roof.
we always say, right? Like movies, again, are experiential events. They're aiming to deliver a different kind of experience than Gandhi does. Like when you go into a restaurant to get a great meal, they are aiming to give you a different experience than a roller coaster is aiming to give you, right? Yeah. So you evaluate based on the experience they're delivering. And like a movie like that, delivered experience. The movies like Superman and Fantastic Four are looking to deliver another certain type of experience. And hopefully for both of them, it'll raise the temperature in the room. So here's hoping. Guys, question is for you. What do you think of James Gunn's comments? I mean, both between hey guys, look, they're opening 2 weeks after us. Not long ago, that wouldn't have seemed like a lot of time, but today it does seem like a lot of time. And he's like cheering for them, talking about they want like all the positivity surrounding Fantastic Four. Whatever you guys think stands out most about his comments, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Andor. You know, Ann and I finally got around to watching Rogue One again. Like we've been planning to watch Rogue One again since Andor ended. And it is exactly what everybody said. Rogue One now just hits differently.
Right.
It just hits different. It like Rogue One was already maybe the best Star Wars movie since Return of the Jedi anyway, but it's elevated now. And as a matter of fact, when it ends, you know, what do they send us? Hope. As soon as that ends, Anne was like, well, now we got to watch A New Hope again. I'm like, we're down. I'm down. So let's do it, baby. But anyway, so Andor, easily the greatest Star Wars thing ever made, at least in the last 30 years. It is just next level, has a real shot, I think, of winning Best Series at the Emmys. It'll definitely get nominated. 100% it's going to get nominated for Best Drama Series. I'd say a good 35% chance it wins. And those are high odds. But there's a couple of interesting things about it. Number one was the price tag. Tony Gilroy was recently at an event where he kind of let it slip how much Andor combined, season 1 and 2, has ended up costing Disney. The price tag for 2 seasons of Andor, $650 million. $650 million. Which, by the way, again, I'm the one who's always calling that Kathleen Kennedy needs to be removed, and she does, but give credit where it's due. He also goes on the warpath, Tony Gilroy, in that same interview, talking about she was the one who fought Disney all the way to get the money for it and to let them do what they wanted to do. He said, do you think Disney in a million years would let us start off a series with a brothel and 2 cold-blooded murders? Nope. He said, Kathleen Kennedy fought for it and got it for us. So, hey, give credit where it's due. But now, who was it? I think it was Variety did a cost breakdown, and they said that number is really huge, but when you break it down, it roughly works out to, if you had 6 2-hour and 20-minute movies, would have cost about $105 million per movie, which is actually kind of reasonable.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, Andor was made with absolute high tentpole cinematic coverage. Now, did they spend too much? I think there's an argument to be had there. But all I care about right now is the results. And the results were the best experience I've had watching Star Wars in over 30 years. And I'm super happy about that.
Also, they were shooting on locations in Europe. They were traveling around. I mean, there was not a lot of profligate spending going on here. It's not like somebody was lining their pockets with the budget. It's all up on screen.
On every dime. Again, like I like the way they phrase that. Like if you broke this down into like a bunch of 2-hour and 10-minute movies, the budget's 110 million or 105 million, whatever. It's like, yeah, I see that. I see every cent of it on screen. I see every cent of it on the screen.
Yeah, and like shows like Rings of Power, the rights they paid alone were like $450 million for the rights to just Lord of the Rings and the appendices and all that. Whereas something like this, I mean, what's really interesting to me about Andor is, I mean, if you compare the way it looked to, say, The Acolyte, and this is not, I don't want to throw shade at The Acolyte here.
I'll throw it for you. Acolyte sucked.
Well, the way it looked.
Yes.
The stage bound, the Star Wars shows have become very stage bound, but very reliant on the volume. And to see, one of the great things about Andor was just to see it looked like when you were on Coruscant, it looked like a real Coruscant.
It looked like a real world.
Yeah, Coruscant in the prequel series was very CG. It was very, whereas they made Coruscant. I know they used a lot of very well-known European locations to create that futuristic feel, but it didn't matter to me that, oh, I've seen that building before, because it looked great, and everything about it felt the same way. It was like when you watched Star Wars for the first time, it felt like what you were watching was real, or how Dune looks. When you watch Villeneuve's Dune, this looks like they shot on location in Arrakis.
Yeah.
I mean, and to capture that look, I mean, that's where entertainment should be now. And look, that movie, I've watched Andor. I've watched episode 8 of Andor 4 times.
Wow. Of
this new season, just to study it as from an editorial exercise. Because in an article, they were talking about how they could jump around to just about anybody because setting up the tension. I hope that episode wins best. Are they giving out a best single episode for the Emmys this year?
That's what's on the table. They're proposing.
Yeah,
which
episode 8 of Andor.
I love that idea. So here's the other interesting thing, though, that came out, because one of the things about Andor, as good as it is, because it does not look anything at all like traditional Star Wars, and it's not all the characters we already know. The problem was that even though the first season of Andor was spectacular, it didn't have like big banger numbers, right? It just didn't. So that was one thing. But, when you make quality, more people will come. Well, according to the reports coming out now, everything Andor started putting out, more and more people watched, taking huge leaps. This is what's written over in the Hollywood Reporter. They wrote, Andor, meanwhile, had 821 million minutes of viewing on Disney Plus as it released its second batch of 3 episodes. This is talking about its second week, which was already, the first week was already a record high, was the record high viewership for Andor. Then in the second week, it went up another 14%. It grew by 100 million minutes week to week, a gain of about 14%, and its audience even got younger. Nielsen says 23% of the audience was made up of adults 18 to 34 versus 18% the week earlier. So we're talking about a series that, because of the quality, the word of mouth started getting out. People started talking about, listen, this Andor season 1 was great. They tune in record numbers for the debut of season 2, and it was so good, they all came back, plus another 14% for the next week. And then from what we're hearing already, those numbers just keep going up and up and up. As opposed to, say, something like Acolyte or Ahsoka, where the numbers started pretty good and they started to decline week after week until you finally got to the finales, right? So I think Andor, while you obviously cannot do an Andor season 3, I think Andor is going to be something that people are going to be going back to watch a lot over the years. I think this is going to become a touchstone moment for them. Again, I don't want all my Star Wars to be like Andor.
No.
I do want the high fantasy adventure. I do want lightsaber fights. I want big space battles. Like, I want that too. I want that type of Star Wars, but I want to see more of this kind of Star Wars too.
Let me ask you a question. If they were to do another season of like a Rebels animated show, and it was about the early days of Luthen, would you watch it? Would you want somebody else to do Luthen's character other than Tony Gilroy?
I have two brains on this, because on the one hand, I'm not a big fan of prequel stuff. Like going back to see this again. I mean, and ultimately that's what Rogue One was, and that's what Andor is. But do I want them to keep doing that? I want them to maintain this kind of show, but I still overall want the Star Wars universe to move forward.
Look, I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't want somebody else. It's not fair to say this, but I don't want someone else to go in and tell me Luthen's backstory.
Yeah.
It's not theirs to tell.
Yeah, we got a little bit of Luthen's.
Yeah.
All the backstory we needed, we got in Andor season 2.
Yes, because it's, to me, that's I think a lot of problems with a lot of our IP today. If you didn't create the IP and you come in, you're inherently trying to make it more of your own. So I understand that creative impulse, but like a character like Luthen, who's one of the great Star Wars characters, one of the great characters in science fiction fantasy.
Oh yeah,
I mean, one of the great, and that performance. You really would want somebody who it's their character to tell you their backstory. If you had somebody else come along, it's kind of fake. It doesn't feel like it's as real. I mean, it's silly to say with an IP because you want other writers and other people to come in. And I mean, it didn't bother me that James Cameron was telling us more of Ripley's story in Aliens because it seemed authentic.
Right.
As long as somebody's good doing it, I guess.
But honestly, and I say this without irony, without hyperbole, without anything. The season 1 speech that Luthen gives to Young in that turbo lift, when they're having their secret murder, their secret meeting, and he gives the speech of, I burned my life for a sunrise I know I'll never see, or something along those lines. I put that up there with the Braveheart speech. Would you dare for just one chance for freedom? Like whatever. I put it up there as top 1, 2, or 3 of the greatest speeches ever given on television. Like seriously, I've watched that speech. I don't even know how many times. It's just like one of the greatest performances ever. And I'm very happy for the success of Andor. But even somebody who loved it as much as I do, even I got to say, when I saw that $650 million price tag for 2 seasons, woo, that's an expensive show, man. But I mean, look what we got. It's simply the best thing that ever had the label Star Wars on it, at least since I was a kid. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about these interesting facts? Number one, that the Andor viewership just kept going up and up and up. Something not a lot of the Star Wars shows do. But secondly, the revelation that Tony Gilroy is saying this thing cost Disney $650 million to do, and they let them do it. I'm very grateful to let them do it. I don't know that I would have greenlit it, but I'm glad they did. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, listen. We still got a number of things that we need to talk about, including that Dexter Resurrection trailer that's come out. That looks great. The Netflix Tudum event with things like Frankenstein, Knives Out. We're going to go over that. Lilo and Stitch. Absolutely dominating the box office. Over $600 million in its second weekend already. And we're going to talk about a little clarification about the actual reactions from those Fantastic Four public test screenings. A little bit of clarifications that's kind of eye-opening. Anyway, we're going to talk about that and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a quick moment and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode, our friends at Ridge. Guys, we want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's video, Ridge. Okay, let's talk about this. This is easily one of my favorite upgrades I've made all year. This right here is the Ridge wallet, and it is such an upgrade over my old bulky leather wallet. You know the one, it looked like a sandwich and it felt like you were sitting on a brick. Ridge is a sleek, modern wallet that holds up to 12 cards plus cash, and look at this slim design. It's made from premium materials like aluminum, titanium, and carbon fiber. Mine is absolutely beautiful and I get compliments on it all the time. And here's a part of it that really gives me peace of mind. It's got RFID blocking technology. That means your info stays safe from digital pickpockets. Plus, every Ridge wallet comes with a lifetime warranty. This is literally the last wallet you'll ever need. And right now, just in time for Father's Day, Ridge is having a huge sale. Get up to 40% off your order at ridge.com/Campea. Just head to ridge.com/Campea to find the perfect gift for dad or yourself. When you check out, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Give dad the upgrade he deserves this year. And thank you to our friends at Ridge for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over to this, shall we? Dexter! Dexter is back. Listen, I love Dexter. I love the original series Dexter. And I totally lost all my interest in it with that Dexter Jr. show. Whatever it was called. Dexter
Original Sin.
Original Sin? No. That was the
That
next
was
one.
The next one.
It was Dexter Shot by Sun, the series, whatever. That was terrible. I was so excited for that. That's right. King Daddy Goat is mentioning in the live chat, and so is Cord Cutter Camo. It's called New Blood.
Right, that's right.
New Blood sucked. I did not like that show. And so when they announced, number one, that they were doing a Dexter prequel series called Original Sin, and then after that, they'd be bringing Dexter back with Dexter Resurrection, which he would have to because he dies at the end of New Blood.
Or did he?
So I was not all that interested in Dexter Original Sin. I didn't even watch it when it first came out, but I had a few people write into me and say, hey, John, you might want to check out Original Sin. And I finally relented. I'm like, all right, enough people did that. And I tuned in, loved it. Not as good as the original Dexter series, but I loved it. The kid they got to play young Dexter.
Really good.
Killed it. Like, so good. Having Christian Slater play the younger Harry, bringing in Sarah Michelle Gellar, Patrick Dempsey as the head cop guy. I mean, it was just wonderfully told. And here's the thing. What it did that New Blood did not do, it felt like Dexter. New Blood never felt like Dexter.
No.
This one did. Now, of course, Dexter Original Sin starts at the end of New Blood where Dexter apparently is not dead and he's still alive and he's being rushed to the hospital. And now we get our first trailer for Dexter Resurrection. I did not realize Peter Dinklage was in this. I did not realize that Uma Thurman.
And she looks great.
And she looks fantastic. I did not know that David Dastmalchian. Yeah, Dastmalchian. Thank you. I always struggle with his name, man. But I love Polka Dot Man. I didn't realize all these people were in it. So I'm watching it. Angel's back, which I love. I loved Angel. By the way, the guy they got to play young Angel in Original Sin has to be a blood relative of this guy because he looked and sounded and acted so much like the original guy. It was crazy. Anyway, but the original Angel's back, all that kind of stuff. And here's the thing. I think the trailer's great. And one of the main reasons I love the trailer was because, like Original Sin, I'm watching the trailer, and again, unlike New Blood, I'm like, this feels like Dexter. And the fact that they brought back also the original Harry, who knew ghosts could age?
James Remar.
Yes, who knew ghosts could age? Wasn't he in the original Alien originally, and then
he was in Aliens.
Right. Oh, he was in Aliens. That's right. And then he
played Ajax in The Warriors, one of the greatest movies ever made.
But seeing him back is good. I just, and like the Peter Dinklage character, I'm fascinated by. You really like serial killers.
Well, that's the whole thing. Like they're having a dinner for. I mean, it looked.
I was telling John before the show. It kind of reminded me of Werewolf Before Night or Werewolf at Night.
Yeah.
Werewolf by
Night.
Because they were all just like assembling these like
gathering all the hunters.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Is Peter Dinklage trying to create like a mass murder spree in New York, or he's just fascinated by them? I don't know. Now, I wasn't thrilled seeing that they are bringing the kid back into it, because I did not care at all about that storyline, and I'd be just as happy if they left it out. But I guess it makes sense if it is his son. But still, I thought the trailer was great. I love that I'm excited about Dexter again, because I was off the ship for a while. To me, this looks great. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to check it out. What did you think?
Well, first of all, the fact that it exists at all, that they've now brought back, they had they literally had a course correction with two shows, two different series. And then they brought back the original Dexter. I'm like, I didn't think they needed to end Dexter. It was hit and miss at the end. The last season of Dexter was not the greatest thing in the world.
You know what? I still thought the last season was really solid. I just hated the finale.
Well, yeah.
That kind of put a sour taste on the whole.
Yeah.
But other than that, I thought the rest of the season was pretty solid.
But I think I've always thought Dexter was wildly entertaining. And as long as you can keep it going. And this trailer looked great. But it looked different. Like, I don't know what Peter Dinklage is doing, but that's kind of an Dexter. We've had other serial killers like John Lithgow.
Yep.
and who was great.
Trinity,
The
yep.
Trinity, he was great. You know, so I have no problem with other serial killers and having pit them against each other. One thing though, if they can keep bringing Dexter back, can I make a plea to all you networks out there? Can we have Hannibal season 4, please? Please get Brian Fuller, bring us back some Hannibal. I want some. That's my favorite.
I just watched Mads Mikkelsen in Rogue One again last night. It'd be great to have him back.
Oh my God. It's Hannibal's my favorite horror television show that's ever been made ever. And I wish they would do season 4. Damn it.
I don't know. Like, look, here's the thing. What was the first one? Will and Grace? Was that the first one to kind of do a revival of the old, like a show?
Yeah,
that
they brought,
was on,
they brought, yeah.
and it had some success, and that kind of spurred a number of other revivals to come back.
Frasier.
Yeah, Frasier had a fairly
The
modest,
Connors,
successful run.
the Roseanne.
It has been very successful for them. They've just ended that now.
Yep.
We got a Buffy revival coming.
Yep.
You know, all that kind of stuff. Maybe, like, if this thing can knock it out of the park, if Dexter Resurrection, because Original Sin is a little bit different because it's a prequel series, but if they can show we can bring this series back and people will watch it, I don't know. I think something like a Hannibal could be back on the table.
I think so too.
I don't think Mads Mikkelsen is super busy right now. I mean, I know he loved playing the character, so why not? Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What did you think about the Dexter Resurrection? Listen, I don't blame you at all if you kind of jumped off Dexter with New Blood, because I didn't like that at all. But did you see Original Sin? Are you excited about this? Maybe you were never a Dexter fan in the first place. Go and watch the original series. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Netflix did their Tudum series, which, by the way, that is a great title. For Netflix, that's a great title.
Yeah, it is, because it's that sound.
Yeah, it's pretty iconic. It's the sound. I do like the name of it. Well, they had this little streaming event where they were kind of showcasing a number of the big things, not a whole ton, but a number of the things coming up on Netflix. A number of these things, a lot of people are very excited about. And we're going to go over, I think, 6 of them. And what we thought about these, at least I think it's 6. Is it 6? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's 6 of them. And kind of what we thought about it. So let's jump over to Mashable here, where they kind of gave us the list. And the thing that they're going to start off, by the way, this was great, showing Lady Gaga and Jenna Ortega in a coffin thing together, which is kind of fun. Anyway, start thing off with Stranger Things. Meh. Listen, I like Stranger Things. I like it very much, as a matter of fact. And I'm looking forward to the new season. But this wasn't a trailer. This was 90%.
It was a Stranger Things appreciation.
That's exactly what it was.
That's what it is.
It's like, hey guys, remember how much we love Stranger Things?
Yeah.
And that's fair. I mean, it doesn't come out until November.
But you know, I think probably they're working on it. I would imagine they don't want anyone to know what it is yet.
Yeah,
I think they're trying to keep it way under wraps.
Although at this point we all know what it is. But
Yeah.
but I think you're right. There were 2 real, but it was 90% clips from other seasons.
Yeah.
The 2 key things, though, that to me came out was release date, November. I was expecting it sooner, to be honest with you. But I get it. So it's going to come out in November. The second key thing, and I think the most interesting thing about this, was they started splitting the seasons into 2. Now they've split it into thrice. They've split it into 3. Part 1, part 2, and then finale. Which I guess the finale's on New Year's
Eve.
And again, I was talking about this on Open Mic this weekend. I've been saying it for a long time. I will continue to say it. Netflix continues its slow but consistent walk towards going to week releases. It may not all happen this year. It may not all happen next year, but it's coming. Because they've been doing this with more and more series, realizing, hey, if we spread it out, they're more successful. People talk about them longer. You know, Rob, I brought this up a lot, but like I go back to like the AMC days, right? And Netflix puts out Punisher. And everybody was excited about Punisher. And they dropped this season of Punisher. And people write into the show and wanting to talk about Punisher for about 3 days.
Yep.
And after those 3 days, it was gone. Nobody talked about it again. It had a blip on the radar and then it disappeared. Whereas something like WandaVision, which had week-to-week releases, dude, on the John Campea Show,
I was there.
2 months. That was the number one topic of conversation that all of our viewers would write in about for months.
I'm still convinced Mephisto was in the show.
Somewhere he was in there. We're going to find that out in Ironheart. We're going to see a flashback of Mephisto saying, I was there when Wanda Maximoff, whatever. So, I mean, it's just a statistically proven fact at this point that when you spread out, if it's a good show, when you spread it out, momentum builds, people talk about it. People who haven't tuned in yet go, well, oh, they're only 2 episodes in. They're only 3 episodes in. I can go back and get caught up. It's much like until we were just talking about Andor. The viewership kept going up and up and up and up. Had they dropped Andor all at once, I don't think that obviously couldn't happen. So they've gone from now splitting these things into 2. Now they're splitting it into 3. This won't be the last time they do it. With Stranger Things, it will be, but they're going to do this with other popular shows. And eventually we're going to end up with Netflix doing week-to-week releases. And that's a good move for them. But anyway, what did you think about the Stranger Things little presentation? What stood out to you?
Well, the same thing. I mean, it was an appreciation reel, but there was a few glimpses of the characters. I mean, the thing that struck me the most was how how everyone's gotten a lot older, you know, and which means if they've gotten older, I certainly have too, as a viewing member of the audience. But you know, I'm just excited. I liked the last season quite a bit. I didn't like season 2 very much, but I liked of Stranger Things. I really liked 1. I liked seasons 3 and 4. So season 4 was pretty epic, and I'm looking forward to see where they go. You know, the one thing that I've always asked myself is, like, there's got to be, does anyone live in the Upside Down? Like, you have all these monsters and these creatures. Do they want anything? Or are they just there to menace us? Like, and I think that, like, we did see a bigger evil in season 4. You know, there was like, oh, there is sort of an overmind or something that lives there. But I'm like, if there's an upside down of the entire planet Earth that's full of Lovecraftian creatures, I want to know, like, the Cylons, if they have a plan. And are they going to execute on that plan? And I think we're going to find the answers out in season 5.
All right. The next thing up that they highlighted was Knives Out 3. Wake Up Dead Man. I think that's the name of it.
Yeah.
And they also gave us like a more full list of the cast.
What a great list.
Josh O'Connor, Glenn Close, Josh Brolin, Mila Kunis as a sheriff, Jeremy Renner, Kerry Washington, Andrew Scott, Carly Spaney, Daryl McCormick, Thomas Hayden Church. This looked great. Now, I'm already a fan of the Knives Out franchise. I thought the trailer looked awesome. What do you think about it?
Oh my God. Yes. I mean, I there was something about the tone of it too. You know, I love the fact that Benoit Blanc has now become a pop culture icon in a way. I mean, it's only 2 movies, but there's something about, look, I didn't think Glass Onion was great.
I did. I thought it was wonderful.
I thought it was good. It just seemed a little slight to me. But I mean, it was a beautiful. I love the fact that it was totally different than the first one.
Yeah.
And this one kind of looks, I mean, for the little glimpse that we got of it, but I really love this franchise a lot. I'm very excited about what they showed. I didn't know I love Thomas Hayden Church. I don't think we see him enough.
Yep.
You know, and I can't
go
wait
all the
to
way
see
back
this.
to The Outsiders.
Yeah. I mean, I love Thomas Hayden Church. And this looks really
By the
good.
line of the trailer. This isn't a miracle. It's a murder. And I solve murders. I love that line. All right. Next thing up they had was a trailer for Squid Game Season 3. This is an odd thing for me. I have to confess. I loved Squid Game. Didn't watch Season 2.
At all?
Nope. Haven't seen a single episode of it. And I'll tell you what. Part of the reason was, despite the fact that I love Season 1, I watched the trailers for it, and to me, it's just like, this just feels like Squid Game Season 1 again. Now, I have had a number of people tell me that Season 2 is quite good.
It is.
And I got to say, this trailer looks great to me. This Season 3 trailer looks really great. And I think it's kind of motivated me now to maybe go back and watch Season 2. What did you think?
Okay. I thought that this trailer looked really good too. Now, Season 2, I think Season 2 suffered from the same thing that Daredevil suffered from. They were going to make 18 episodes or however many episodes, 14 episodes or whatever. And then they made them all at once. They knew it was, but then they split them into seasons. So at the end of Squid Game 2, you're like, wait, why? No, it's not like even it just ended like in the middle of the story. So I think by holding off, wait until season 3 drops and then binge them all, because it's going to be, I think, one long story that's going to be much more satisfying than watching season 2. The only thing, season 2 is really intriguing, but the only thing was, it felt like you're being led down a road that just, wait, we have a lot more to go. And it just ended. It ended at a place where I'm like, wait, what? And that bothered me. So I think when you watch all of it, you're going to have a much more satisfying experience. But the trailer looks great.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the trailer was so good. And like I said, it's motivated me now to go back and watch season 2. So I think I'm going to do that. All right. Next up was the little promo piece for One Piece Season 2 with Chopper. Yawn. Look. Hey, look. Let me be clear here. I've for a long time had people tell me, John, you should watch One Piece, like the anime series, right? So I went back and tried the animated series. Didn't work for me, to be honest with you. Then the live action series came out and people said, give it a shot. So begrudgingly, I watched it. I really like the One Piece live action show. I had a lot of fun with it. And like you got these characters who at first kind of seem a little cheesy to me, but they became somehow very endearing. And I really started to like the show. I really like One Piece Season 1. And I am looking forward to One Piece Season 2. I was looking forward to an actual trailer for One Piece Season 2. Now I get it. It's not coming out till 2026, so it's still a ways off. I didn't watch the volumes of One Piece animated stuff, so I don't know, nor do I give a shit about Chopper. Hey, listen, you can bring this up. Chopper looked adorable. Don't get me wrong. Like in this little preview piece, it looked adorable, but since I don't know the character, I don't care about the character. I wanted to see a One Piece Season 2 trailer. I wanted to see the characters I knew. So just being honest with you, my reaction to the One Piece little promo piece was yawn.
I agree. It did nothing for me. I'm like, okay, but just because, look, I think One Piece, anime is an acquired taste.
Yeah.
And I think it's much easier for, like, I've loved certain kinds of anime. I started watching Marine Boy and Speed Racer when I was a little kid, and Space Battleship Yamato and Robotech, Macross, and then all the 80 Gundam. But modern anime is kind of more of a acquired taste. And I think that One Piece made One Piece, the live action One Piece made One Piece palatable for people that anime might not work for them. So I thought that was a good idea. But bringing up a character like this, while the character is really well done, I wanted more. Give me more. What am I going to see in season 2?
All right. Next thing up is probably the thing I heard most people buzzing about over the weekend. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Because it's Guillermo del Toro, I have expectations.
Yeah.
Trailer meets it. Trailer met those expectations. This thing looks great. I'll go so far as to say this. I think it looks like a better version of Nosferatu. I think it's got all the strong point. I mean, again, I'm just talking about the trailer. Okay. I haven't seen the movie. Movie could be a totally different experience, but I felt like this had all the best things that were great qualities about Nosferatu without all the things that kind of dragged Nosferatu down for me. This looks like it's going to be gripping. Oscar Isaac looks amazing in it. And yeah, and that scene when he's climbing back on the ship and like throwing, oh my God, Victor! I'm like, oh my God. I think this was the winner of Tudum. I think the Frankenstein trailer was the winner of Tudum. I thought it looked great. What did you think about it?
100%. I mean, even Guillermo del Toro's lesser efforts, like I'm not a huge fan of Crimson Peak, but I bought it on 4K anyway because I love the way it looks. He has a way, the way he lights things, the way as soon as this trailer started with like that, it's like a long distance shot of the frozen wilderness or whatever, and the boat, and I'm like, I am so in. Like this is, and like you said, look at this shot that's on screen right now. I mean, come on. It's just like he is transporting you into, and this is a live action set. He's transporting you. Guillermo del Toro's world is a place that he's a true visionary.
Yeah.
And he's a visionary, like Terry Gilliam's a visionary, but a lot of his movies I just don't connect with me. Whereas Guillermo del Toro decided, I'm going to make a kaiju giant robots movie. And I'm like, yes, sir. Yes, you did. And I love it, love it, love it so much. And so I'm watching this, and Guillermo del Toro loves classic horror. I mean, he loves classic horror. If you watch his first movie, Kronos, which is kind of an interesting take on the vampire lore, he has such a point of view. And when you watch a movie of his, you really feel it's experiential. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, you really feel transported somewhere. And this movie looks dope. I mean, how many times are they going to give us a new Frankenstein story?
As
Poor
many
Things.
times as you want.
Oh, well,
if you
that's
make
it.
good.
I mean, I'll watch a Poor Things. That's kind of a Frankenstein story.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll
is.
watch this. I mean, I'm like Guillermo del Toro doing Frankenstein. Going, yes. I mean, which is cool because we got Universal, Blumhouse, The Invisible Man, Wolfman. You know, we're getting all the
What's
classical.
the Christian Bale one that Maggie Gyllenhaal directed?
Oh, the one that's coming up that we
Yeah.
haven't seen. I can't wait. What is that called?
Oh, you weren't in the
no, I
presentation?
was in the
Oh,
presentation.
yeah. How
That
good did that
presentation
look?
looked amazing.
It's yet another Poor Things, another Frankenstein.
Unbelievable.
Holy crap, it looked good.
Unbelievable.
And I can't remember the name of it. The
No,
Bride.
The
The Bride
Bride.
is what it's called. Thank you. Draven Dresden in the live chat was
Yeah.
the first one to bring
I
it
mean,
up.
and I'll tell you one thing. Frankenstein and Gyllenhaal's The Bride, there's a double feature.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
This,
can't wait.
This looks great. I cannot wait for both of these. All right. The last one we're going to talk about here was the long-awaited trailer for Happy Gilmore 2. I, like everybody else, love Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
And listen, I got excited. I remember when he first came out, when Sandler came out and said, we're going to be doing Happy Gilmore 2. I'm like, yes. I remember finding out that Shooter McGavin was coming back. And I'm like, yes. First of all, the whole conceit that it starts with him just kind of being broke again. I'm like, I mean, I don't need it to start off with him still being at the top of the golf world, but didn't Rocky kind of do this already? Whatever. None of the jokes in it particularly landed hard. You know what? It felt more like recent Adam Sandler comedy than it felt like Happy Gilmore to me. And now, the movie, I am definitely going to check it out because I love Happy Gilmore.
Of course.
And hopefully this is going to be one of those situations where the movie is actually far better than the trailer is. That happens a lot. But I'm just being honest. I didn't think the trailer was all that great. It wasn't terrible. I just didn't think it was all that great. What did you think?
I
about it?
totally agree with you. It reminded me of Coming to America 2.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, that's exactly it.
And I wanted to love. I love Coming to America.
Yep.
And I wanted to love Coming to America too. But you know, even the look of Happy Gilmore, the shots looked very low rent TV to me. And although this is a good shot, that it just didn't look.
It didn't look like a movie.
No, it didn't. It looked like a mid-level. It looked like a
Looked like
YouTube
Cobra
Red
Kai.
series.
It looked like Cobra Kai.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what it, like I said.
I'm just sitting on it. I'm like, he's gonna hit. I'm just gonna say it. It looked like Cobra
Yeah,
Kai.
it looked like Cobra Kai from the beginning.
Yeah.
It just, for whatever reason, it didn't look. They probably didn't have the budget for it or whatever. But you know, I hope it's good. Just
Yeah,
I wanted.
and it may be good. It may be great.
Yeah, it could be great. I wanted Coming to America too to be great too.
Yeah, you know what the funny thing about Coming to America 2 though was? The trailers looked funny. I thought the trailers to Coming to America 2 looked pretty funny, and then I watched the movie. I'm like, oh no. No.
I mean, it's been
just not
interesting
good.
because now we have. You were talking earlier about bringing these shows back, but now we've had Beverly Hills Cop or Axel Foley,
which was a great revisit. I really
I
liked the new
enjoyed
Beverly
it.
Hills
I
Cop.
enjoyed it. Coming to America, we got this now. It's interesting to see, you know, them resurrecting. I mean, it speaks to kind of the creative bankruptcy of Hollywood. Like, what was your 30-year-old favorite comedy? Let's go back and we'll make a sequel to it.
Sometimes that's great. So, like the Beverly Hills Cop. My wife, you know, here's a great example. Like my wife watched that Beverly Hills Cop, and it inspired her to go back and watch all the other Beverly Hills Cops. Right? That's a good thing. Coming to America, not so much. This really does look like a made for Netflix thing. Whereas Frankenstein looks like it's made for cinemas. And
Yeah.
it should be playing in cinemas.
It's wild to me that it's not going to play in cinemas.
Netflix, you're so stupid.
It's bizarre. Like to think that David Fincher has gone and now Guillermo del Toro, two of our great stylists, are now Netflix boys.
Money, 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 money.
I know.
Netflix boy.
Netflix boy.
Anyway, guys, some big wins, a couple of questionable things, but that was Netflix Tudum. What was your favorite thing from the Netflix Tudum little presentation? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. It's Lilo and Stitch's world, and we're just living in it. Lilo and Stitch, of course, broke all kinds of records on its opening weekend. And now, having finished its first week and just done its second weekend, not even done through 2 weeks, Lilo and Stitch is now, I believe, made over $610 million as it dominated the box office again, making $63 million in its second weekend. $63 million in its second weekend. It was a pretty interesting thing as we go over and look at the charts. Again, Lilo and Stitch. Again, for a movie that opened as big as it did, for it to drop less than 60% is something they're very happy about. I mean, that's great. Mission Impossible 2 also had a pretty decent second weekend, coming at 27. I think it's now made 350 million.
Yeah, international. It's made over look
231 international. It's made 353 million. It's well on its way to making more than the last one. So how good its legs will be, we'll find out. Karate Kid's Legends opened right around where I figured it would open, made about $21 million. So that not bad. I know they were kind of at least hoping to pass Mission Impossible, but $21 million. Final Destination Bloodlines hanging in there, making another $10 million this weekend. Bring Her Back made $7 million. So obviously they were hoping for a little bit better. In its 7th week in theaters, Sinners comes in 6th place, which is great for 7th week in theaters. Again, it's now made over $350 million for that movie. Thunderbolts in its 5th weekend, still in the top 10, coming in at number 7, making 4.8. It's now at $370 million. And Friendship, The Last Rodeo, and J-Hope Tour, Hope on the Stage in Japan live viewing, which I have no idea what that is.
It's a concert film.
I mean, I can tell that from the title, but I have no idea who J-Hope is. Is any relation to J-Lo?
No, I think it's a
Korean girl pop band?
It could be.
K-pop band? Anyway, making just under $1 million. But again, the story here is Lilo and Stitch. We were wondering, could it sustain? Now, remember, again, you want most movies to have between a 50 and 60% drop in a second weekend. Over 60% is a little concerning. Under 50 is popping bottles of champagne. But when a movie opens massive, you expect a bigger second weekend drop off. Like, I remember Spider-Man No Way Home. I think it had a 70% drop off in week 2. Not because not a lot of people went to go see it. They did. It's just that so many people went to go see it week 1. Having a 57% drop, 56 point whatever percent drop in week 2, I think is really good for Lilo and Stitch. Again, it's already made over $600 million. And it's good seeing Mission Impossible. I mean, I was hoping Mission Impossible would have a little bit less of a drop-off. Still respectable, making $27.3 million a second weekend. Anyway, you see the charts here, Rob. What stands out to you?
That people are going to the movies.
Yeah.
That, by the way, I want to correct myself. I think earlier when I was talking about Final Destination Bloodlines, I called producer Craig Perry Steve Perry.
Yeah. I think so.
I said Steve Perry. Like, what was I thinking? What is he, now a vocalist? For a
multi-talented.
Journey? Multi-talented. Craig Perry. Sorry about that. But no, and to see this, people are going to the picture shows and look at the diversity of subject matter.
Yeah.
You got Lilo and Stitch, you got Mission Impossible, you got horror film titles, you got Karate Kid. There's a lot of Bring Her Back,
Thunderbolts.
Yeah. I mean, people are still going, and it shows that there's no one kind of movie dominating at the box office. And we've been saying since we saw footage of that first Lilo and Stitch trailer, we said it was going to make all the money. We said it was going to be $1 billion movie.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's on its way. And look, be as cynical as you want. If a studio like Disney makes a Lilo and Stitch live action, for as creatively bankrupt as that might be, it's really great when it makes at this much money. It's great for the whole ecosystem of movies. So I'm not cynical about Disney's supposed to make money. If they're going to turn their live action movies into, or animated films into live action to make money, that's what they're supposed to do.
And listen, and if they do it, making enjoyable theatrical experiences, like again, I have my criticisms of Lilo and Stitch. Like, I don't think the movie's great.
Right.
But the vast majority of the time that I was sitting in that theater watching it, I had a smile on my face.
Yeah.
And I know all the kids in the theaters were having a great time. And I mean, if you can deliver a fun experience for the audience and make money, go for it.
Yeah.
I mean,
What more do
it's
you
the best
want?
of both worlds.
So I look, we want our theatrical business to be healthy, and to see this kind of hold for these movies, and so they're not just front loaded, and this summer is full of bangers, and I think that movie theater owners are going to have a great experience this summer. I mean, we got things like F1 coming, which again, another movie.
I cannot wait for
Jerry
it.
Bruckheimer coming back, roaring back into theaters. I mean, that's exciting. A horror Jurassic Park, something I thought I would never be excited about again. I'm excited about it. Superman, hell yes. Fantastic Four, I hope it's good. So there's lots of, and we've got Warner Brothers has in the rear in August Weapons coming, which is one of my most eagerly awaited films. September has The Long Walk. We've got The Running Man still coming this year.
I mean, and tomorrow we're gonna be doing a feature tomorrow here on the show. We're gonna talk all about the releases coming out in June.
Yeah.
Which I'm excited about a number of the things coming. And then of course July is gonna be huge. But like to your point, I mean, they're all there. Now, will Lilo and Stitch make $1 billion? It does look like it's on its way. But after the first 2 weeks of Minecraft, I thought it was easily going to be on its way to $1 billion, and it's not going to make $1 billion. Although it's made $247 million or $947 million. I think they're not crying themselves to sleep.
That's
They're
pretty
fine.
close.
They're that's way more than I thought Minecraft would ever make. So I mean, good on them for that. Guys, question is for you. What do you think? Lilo and Stitch made like over $60 million on its second weekend. Now having eclipsed the $610 million mark already after just its second weekend. Now, what stands out to you? What do you think about its performance? Mission Impossibles, the Karate Kid Legends one coming in third place. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Now, Fantastic Four held what is kind of unusual for Disney to do and for Marvel to do, but they held what are qualified and called public test screenings for Fantastic Four. Now, a couple of the stories that came out of that was, of course, the post-credit scene they had, which I believe is fake. Now, I think the story is true, but I don't think that's actually going to be in the movie when it comes out in theaters. I think it's a misdirect by Marvel, but that's not the thing to talk about here. The other thing we mentioned when we talked about it was that our friend Jeff Schneider talked to one person, and we emphasized when we talked about this is just one single person. But Jeff said the one person he talked to, who we have no idea if this person has the worst taste in movies in the world or the best taste in movies. We have no idea. It was a single person. And he said that person thought it was okay. Right? Now, there had been a story going around that the people thought those public test screenings were mid. There was even this story being highlighted in a bunch of trades saying somebody actually yelled out in the screening, mid, during the screening.
I'm so sure.
Well, that has now been debunked by the actual person who was there at it. And MovieWeb is quoting this person. This is what the person who was actually at the screening had to say. I've been seeing a lot of reporting on anecdotes and facts that I recognized as my own. Like, I'm the person this came from. I wanted to debunk some misinterpretations I've heard. No one screamed mid in the audience. So that story, completely fake. Nobody screamed mid in the audience. There was a guy next to me sighing and flapping his hands around. When the movie was over, I asked him his opinion, and he said it was mid. But that got blown up into this thing. Somebody yelled out mid during the thing. Anyway, he goes on to say, I told this story on Discord right after I left. Certain insiders have blown this story out of proportion, saying that some lunatic screamed mid in the theater. This is 100% untrue. There was an employee asking around random people for their reactions, and I heard a lot of excellence, the highest rating on the survey. So this person who was the source of all these stories about people reacting mid to Fantastic Four, he's now coming out saying they took that way out of context. He said, I said that about one guy I talked with, but everybody that I heard doing the reporting into the employees in the theater, asking for the rating, the highest rating being excellence, he says, I heard a lot of excellence being the highest rating on that. And that's right from the guy who was actually there. Now, again, just like when we talked about how the one single person that Jeff Snyder talked to said they didn't like it, we said, guys, this is one person. When you look at a Rotten Tomatoes reader meeting, you're looking at 300 critics, whatever. This was one single person. I'm sure that's how they felt about it, but let's not read too much into it. It is just one person. Well, now this guy's saying, yeah, in his screening, it was just one person. And whether the guy he was sitting beside was the one Jeff Snyder talked to, I'm not sure. And he's saying, no, this whole story going around, but somebody yelled out mid during the screening did not happen. And he's saying, as a matter of fact, when he was seeing the employee talking to people, they were giving it at the highest rating. Do I think we should read too much into that? Also, no. I mean, maybe he heard 15 people giving excellent, but maybe the next 15 people that he didn't see gave it the worst score. We don't know. But the ones he heard and what he thought, he's saying there was a lot of the top scores. A lot of them were excellent. So what does this tell us about Fantastic Four? Really nothing. I mean, this movie could be good, could be bad. I think the trailers so far have been pretty solid. I haven't been overwhelmed by the trailers for Fantastic Four, but I've liked them. They've been good. Did you hear about the report of the footage Kevin Feige just showed down at the Comic-Con in Mexico?
I did not.
Apparently they showed a scene, and it's all coming out from all the people who were there, where like they're in the Fantastic Four vehicle in a ship or something like that, running from Silver Surfer, and Sue Storm is in the midst. She's in labor in the ship. And like Reed then tells Ben they're being chased by Surfer, and he tells Ben to steer the ship into a black hole. Now, I don't know if that's something at the end or if that's something in the middle of the film or whatever, but it's like, oh my God, I want to see this clip. I don't know. I don't think they've put it out publicly yet, but I do definitely want to see this clip. So we'll see. But anyway, I'm glad to hear that this guy came out and kind of set the record straight on it. And it kind of, I think, resets the barometer. Again, I am more looking forward to Superman, but I am excited for Fantastic Four, and I like hearing this. Anyway, Rob, what do you think about the story?
Look, at this point, everybody says stuff like mid. I don't believe anything anybody says when it comes to superhero films or genre cinema in general, because I feel that too many people have already made a decision before they've even seen it now, and it's I think any reviewer should look at every movie from a fresh perspective. Like, don't prejudge something that you haven't seen.
Yeah.
I'm really getting tired of that. And then if
you see it, by the way, I say a lot, but if you see a trailer and you think the trailer looks like garbage,
of course,
say you think the trailer looks like garbage.
100%.
Like 100%. Yeah, that's fine.
So and I've learned, no matter how many reviews you read, no matter how many trailers you see, it doesn't change. The actual act of watching a movie, the whole movie in its entirety, is never really represented. You could have the greatest trailer in the world, but a trailer does not duplicate the experience of watching a film from beginning to end. Everything from how does the movie begin over the Marvel logo. You know, there's so many interesting things about watching movies that I love. So again, I think that when it comes to these kinds of movies, especially where Marvel is at, people, I feel that if people don't have the most transcendent movie-going experience of their lives, every Marvel movie's mid to them. And so can they get, which is weird because I understand that, because Infinity War and Endgame gave me two of the greatest movie-going experiences I ever had. I can understand that, but I don't expect every Marvel movie to do that. And so I tend to judge Marvel films like, I really liked the first Doctor Strange. I didn't think Doctor Strange was A-list. I thought it was like a solid B plus.
Yeah, I really liked it.
I really liked it.
Yep.
There was I liked
Not a
everything
top
about it.
Marvel movie, but it was really good.
Yeah, and I could have watched a half an hour more of it. It seemed like it was a little fast, a little quick, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed everything about it. If I get a movie like that, then I'll enjoy everything about Fantastic Four, and it could be a B plus, and I'll still like it.
My analogy to that is everybody knows I'm a big ice cream guy. I overly love my ice cream. Like overly love my ice cream. By the way, little personal note, just a side thing. This weekend, first time in 15 years that I have weighed in under 210 pounds.
Wow.
I'm at 208.
Congratulations. Does that mean more ice cream for you?
Well, I did have an entire carton of cookies and cream ice cream last night, but part of it was massively cutting back how much ice cream I eat. Anyway, that aside,
How big was the carton?
it was a pretty big tub. it was a pretty big one.
Wow.
Ann and I were watching Rogue One, and I was like, because I don't eat ice cream very much anymore, so I kind of overdo it when I have it. But like, I love ice cream, and if I have an ice cream that's a middle of the road ice cream, I still very much enjoy it.
Yes.
It isn't my favorite ice cream, but I think people misuse. There are a couple terms I think people misuse. Mediocre. Mediocre does not mean bad. It means it's the middle of the road. And if the middle of the road could be okay, I think people misuse the term mid and stuff like that. Anyway, that's just all to your point.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I want to love this movie. As a matter of fact, I go into most movies wanting to love them. You know, I feel bad when I don't. But, you know, I want to love this. I really do. And I really want to love Superman.
Oh, God, my hopes are so high for Superman. And it could end up being terrible. It could end up being bad, but I love everything I'm seeing so far. So then again, I thought Kraven looked like it had potential.
Me too.
I really tried to warn you guys on that.
I know everybody tried to warn me, but I believed, and then I saw it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The person who's actually kind of the source of that whole mid story going around, he's come out and clarified. It's like, listen, guys, that was one person. Nobody yelled it out in the movie theater like it's being reported. And everybody that I saw turning in their renditions was the top score excellent. What does that mean? Maybe nothing. But at least it kind of counters what the old story was. And I'm glad to hear it. Anyway, whatever you guys think about all this, jump down to the comments section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys, with that down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your topics and questions. But before we do, we're going to bid good day to the wonderful Robert Meyer Burnett. Thanks for being here, sir.
Good show. Good show. A lot of stuff to look forward to, kids.
And we'll see Rob again tomorrow. And, of course, we'll now get on to taking your questions right after we take a moment and thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our good friends over at Hungryroot. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Hungryroot. Okay, so I'm sure you guys can all relate to this. Spring hits and suddenly life goes from like 0 to 100. Busy season is officially in full swing over here. And honestly, who's got time to go grocery shopping? That's where Hungryroot comes in. See, because Hungryroot is like having your own personal shopper. I told them my goals and they started curating groceries for me that actually fit my life. Be it smoothies, snacks, salad kits, even ready to eat meals. All clean ingredients, no artificial junk. This week, I got the grilled turkey tenderloin with pesto grilled veggies, and it was amazing. And I got my usual protein-packed snacks. It's like they're learning my taste better than I even know myself. And the best part is, I don't have to waste time driving to the grocery store and wandering the aisles. That's time I can spend doing literally absolutely anything else. Guys, I love Hungryroot. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/Campea and use the code Campea. That's hungryroot.com/Campea, code Campea, to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/Campea, code Campea. And thank you to our friends at Hungryroot for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to the most important stuff. Your topics and questions. Jonathan, what we got up first?
First up, we've got, let's see. I know it'll never happen, but
Who is it?
Dildar the Glorious.
Okay, Dildar.
Oh no, we read that. It's Dave Jenkins. Sorry. Hi, John. Been watching since the Arrow after show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my question is about Star Wars. If you could start a series of films Would you go before the prequels
Fuck no.
or after? I personally would want to see an Old Republic 5,000 years before. Love the show.
Well, I mean, look, okay, so I've said this before, so let me bring this up again. I don't want to go backwards in storytelling anymore. I want it to go forward, okay? That being said, something like Old Republic, sorry, one drop of my drink went down the wrong way.
I hate that.
Something like Old Republic that literally goes thousands of years before the events of quote unquote modern Star Wars. I think that's an exception because it is so far separated in time that it's literally not connected to anything. You can do whatever you want. Like if you make a movie, a Star Wars movie that takes place 20 years before the events of, say, Phantom Menace, well, there's a lot of things you can't do because you're not separated by enough time. You still have to have the Republic be in a certain place and the Jedi be in a certain place and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just tired of that. But you do something like Old Republic, you're separated by 5,000 years. You really don't need to worry about what happens in the prequels, the main trilogy, the sequel trilogy. You don't need to worry about any of that because there's so many years that separate it. My number one thing would be move the story forward, jump ahead 20 years from the events of The Rise of Skywalker, which was a terrible movie, but just move forward like 10, 15 years from that and keep the story going moving forward so the future isn't written. But if you are going to go back, go Old Republic. Don't go 10 years prequel, 20 years, 50. Go Old Republic. And if they did that, I think that's perfectly good too. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Blake who says, who's the most quotable movie character of all time? I'm nominating the late Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday. Why, Johnny Campea. You look like someone just walked over your grave.
Man, it might be. Oh, dude, there's a couple. Rowdy Roddy Piper from They Live is pretty good. There's a lot of great quotes in that one. The Val Kilmer there too. You know what? I almost bought. I can't remember the name of the artist now. But Ann and I were in this collectibles shop a couple weeks ago. And we came across this Val Kilmer portrait.
Oh, wow.
From Tombstone. And it was autographed by Val Kilmer.
Wow.
And it was big.
What was that, like $5,000?
It was, I think, $3,000.
Okay.
It was like $3,000. And I'm standing there staring at it. And my wife, Ann, is like a little devil on my shoulder going, do it. Do it. Like my own little Palpatine.
Yeah.
Do it. Do it. Get it. Yes. And I'm like, oh, but it's so much money that I don't have. Oh, but it was gorgeous and beautiful. And they even had the picture of Val Kilmer signing the actual piece. And oh, that was tempting, but I did not. Some of the other most quotable ones. Man, it's a great question. Again, the first thing that pops in my head is Roddy Piper and They Live, but and then of course from the whole Army of the Dead series.
Oh yeah.
Evil Dead and whatever. Ash is
smart. Shop S smart.
Oh my God. You got ugly really fast. You once found me beautiful. You got ugly really fast. I mean, that's a big quotable one too. So I'd have to think about it. All right, what's next?
All right, we got Rob Buck, two-parter. Hey crew, been watching the MCU and I've pinned down my problem with Hulk. They have Bruce Banner, Hulk's body, and not let the Hulk speak for himself. He's simple, not stupid. I've seen moments where the Jolly Green Giant could look like a hologram and immediately recognize
at a hologram.
At a hologram, and it really immediately recognize its cosmic radiation. Banner being the dominant personality is never as interesting as when he's the voice in the Hulk's head, encouraging him to use his power for good.
Listen, I'll go one step further than you. I don't like the Hulk talking at all. Like, I don't mind when he grunts the odd word. And I get it. There are Hulk iterations where he just never speaks. There's Hulk iterations where he can't. I like the way you put that. He's simple, not stupid. I like the way you put that. And I'm not a fan of Professor Hulk. I just don't find this character interesting. I love the whole conceit of Hulk is that it's this incredible power with this insurmountable drawback. It's one of the things that I love about Sentry, right? It's like the problem is with Sentry is that you risk the void coming out. There's the one character, I forget the name of the character in Invincible, where this woman gets younger every time she uses her power. And now she basically looks like a young girl. She looks like a little girl now. And she's got to be very careful how often she uses power because there's a big price tag that comes with using the power, which is she continues to get younger. Monster Girl, thank you. Gallopy in the live chat pointed that out. Monster Girl. Hulk is the greatest example of that. Hulk is the ultimate nuclear option. But there's a risk in bringing out Hulk. Like even in the first Avengers thing, right? Like Bruce goes, that's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry. And so he goes and he beats the hell out of the Chitauri. But him and Thor just take down this thing and Thor's like, yeah. And Hulk knocks out Thor. Like there's an element of uncertainty and danger. And even in Age of Ultron, they're like, we got to prepare for the worst. That's why Tony builds the Hulkbuster, right? By creating Professor Hulk, you've completely gutted the most interesting thing about the character. Because now Banner is Hulk. And that is not interesting. That's not interesting at all. It takes away that element. It takes away that dimension of the character that makes him his most interesting. And I really hope that the Russo brothers find some way to navigate their way back from that. All right, what's next?
Curious Chris says, hey everyone, I thought I had during the third act of Thunderbolts. Man, I can only imagine the absolute hellish nightmare Frank Castle must be going through right now. Poor guy can't catch a break. Matt and Fisk can't have a great time either.
Yeah, so of course in Thunderbolts, when Void starts voiding, people get trapped, kind of like in Lucifer's version of Hell. Like if you watch Lucifer, I love that show, by the way. Hell for people was all individual reliving their most horrible moment, like that they feel the most guilt about. And that's kind of what like getting voided did. It sends you into this place where you just relive this horrible, torturous moment from your past. And I've had a number of people write in thinking about, well, I mean, if Frank was in New York when that happened, imagine what he's going through, or imagine what Daredevil's going through, or whatever. I don't even really... Like Marvel is separating the TV stuff from the movies. I don't even give it any thought, to be honest with you. Like a lot of people asking, where was Mayor Fisk during Marvel's really kind of treating the television series as they officially are in the same cinematic universe, but they're treating them like they're not. Like they are, but they're treating them like they're not. And so I don't really think that was probably a thought that went through the Marvel producers' heads at all, to be honest. All right, what's next?
We got Josh who says, hey, John and crew, just wanted to give my sibling Jamie a shout out for booking the Disney Television Discovers Talent Showcase. We love your show.
Oh, I don't know what that is. The Disney Discovers Talent Showcase?
I'm guessing that
is that like an America's Got Talent thing?
Well, either that or is it like the first step onto like booking like a Disney show? You know what I mean? Like,
well, whatever it is, it sounds like a pretty big deal that your brother was able to do that. So that's really cool. Thank you for letting us know about that, dude. All right, what's next?
We got Anonymous. When it comes to the Batman, I feel like I'm at a sit-down dinner. After a few minutes, we're giving some complimentary drinks because of a delay in the kitchen. 30 minutes later, we've been given some great appetizers, yet we're still waiting on our order.
Yeah. I mean, I expect, and I say this in both anticipation, but also demand. I expect James Gunn will address whatever the situation is with the Batman at Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, we just need to know what's going on. I'm not talking about the DCU's Batman. I'm talking about the Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson, the Pattinson Batman. We need to know what's going on here. It's literally been years. We're already past what the original proposed release date was. And as of right now, we got no idea what's going on. We've heard some reports coming out of the playlist and stuff like that and Production Weekly, but we need tell us something. Now, that penguin appetizer was pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, that got nominated for best series at the Emmys. It was wonderful, but yeah, we need some updates here, and hopefully we'll get it. Now, again, if there is something like personal going on with Matt Reeves, we don't need to know the details, but at least come out and say, we are behind on Batman, or saying we are looking to announce a new director for Batman, or say we got a big announcement coming for Batman in September, or like just something. I think James Gunn really does need to address this. All right, what's next?
We got Anonymous. I hated Little Fockers, not just because I thought it was unfunny, but also because I felt the story served no real purpose, unlike his predecessor. We'll wait to see how funny this new movie is, but for a legacy sequel, the purported storyline makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it does. I mean, so for those of you who might have missed it, they're making a Meet the Parents 4 for some reason. I have no idea why they're making this. I have never heard one person write into my show in all the years we've done this saying, man, I wish they did another Meet the Parents. I loved Meet the Parents, but I wasn't so big on Meet the Fockers. Meet the Fockers wasn't terrible. Little Fockers was terrible. It was awful. And it had the lowest box office of all of them. Like, why they're doing this, I have no idea. But the premise, Ben Stiller's kid is now grown up and is engaged to this very difficult woman that's going to be played by Ariana Grande. It's not a bad premise. I just still have no idea why they're doing it. All right, what's next?
We got Dr. Stinky. Hey, crew, it's been a while. I've had a lot of work. Hope all is well. I just re-listened to the soundtrack to The Wild Robot, and it might be one of my all-time favorites. Within 2 minutes, I'm sobbing. It's perfect. What are your all-time soundtracks?
Well, I mean, we get asked that all the time. The key of a great soundtrack, to me, and this includes score and songs, right? Because there's the score for a movie, and then there's soundtrack, which is, songs that get played in it. I think the big key for both is that when you hear them, your mind is instantly sweeps you back into the movie. A good example of that for me is What Are You Going to Do When You're Not Saving the World by Hans Zimmer for Man of Steel. Whenever I hear that music start, man, I just instantly, I'm taken back into the movie. Whenever I hear Howard Shore's immediately my mind is back in the Shire.
I am with Glory.
What's that?
Glory.
Oh my God, yeah. Also, when I hear on the soundtrack side, when I hear things like Bryan Adams, Everything I Do It For You, I'm instantly taken into Sherwood Forest with Robin Hood. Like my mind instantly goes there. Now when I hear the Immigrant Song, I just think of Thor Ragnarok. Right. So to me, and when you hear John Williams's dun, 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 you're at Hogwarts, man. Like that's the key to a great piece of music, either score or soundtrack for movies, when it instantly takes you back into the movie just hearing a few bars of
You got the power.
Oh,
You got the power.
all right. What's next?
Ryan Dude says, the last show you implied the test screening Fantastic Four post-credit scene might be fake.
That's my guess.
Yeah. And the real one should have more impact. What if in the real one, Dr. Doom is causing an incursion, arrives at the universe from the Marvels? Well, you mean the end of the Marvels, right? And kills Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. The one where
that's
Photon
not a post-credit scene. That's a movie you just described. A post-credit scenes are all going to be about 90 seconds long. And like nothing happens in post-credit scenes that are ever like universally shaking. So I don't expect anything like that. And listen, the one they show the test screening could very well be the actual post-credit scene. I think it's a misdirect. I don't think that's the one they're actually going to do. But everything you're just describing is way too much for a post-credit scene. That's like Dr. Doom hasn't there. By the way, Dr. Doom shows up. I cause an incursion and I kill Wolverine.
Bloop.
Like, nah, they're not going to do anything like that. All right, what's next?
We got a $20 tip from Maria,
Oh, thank you, Maria.
who says, "Hello, John and team. Not sure if you've talked about this yet, but what do you think about David Tennant revealing he was in the running to play Reed Richards?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Love Pedro, but now I can't unsee it. Tennant as Mr. Fantastic would have been amazing."
How do you know? We don't know how. This is the thing, right? Again, we this comes up all the time. He would have been amazing as Reed Richards for a certain kind of Reed Richards. Again, we go back to the Joker. There have been like 6 iterations of Joker, all done completely differently. And each actor brought their thing, like they were the best person for that iteration of Joker. We don't know how Reed Richards is going to be in this movie because every iteration of Reed Richards has also been a little bit different. David Tennant is great. And if they had announced David Tennant as Reed Richards, that sounds great because they got a great actor. But clearly they felt that Pedro Pascal was the better fit for their manifestation of Reed Richards. And maybe David Tennant wouldn't have been such a good fit for this iteration of Reed Richards. Maybe he would have been great for another iteration, but again, if they had announced him, that would have been great. But clearly they felt that Pedro Pascal was the better fit for this character, and I got to believe that they're probably right about that. All right. Thank you again for supporting us on that level and tipping that much, Maria. Appreciate that. All right, what's next?
$20 tip from Anonymous.
Thank you, Anonymous.
Who says, "Hey, John and crew, longtime fan from the award-winning audio edition days.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I was channel surfing the other night and caught the man who shot Liberty Vance for the first time.
One of my dad's favorites.
Holy smokes, what an amazing movie. That's all. Keep doing what you do."
Yeah, again, that was like one of my dad's favorites. But
James Stewart, right? And John Wayne.
I forgot that we actually called. So the movie blog, I did the first movie podcast. At least at the time, I remember we searched, we couldn't find any others at the time. Now we put out the movie blog audio edition before the term podcast was even being used. Very shortly after the term podcast came into being, and that became the known thing. But so we had the movie blog, and we started doing a weekly audio show, and we simply called it at the time Movie Blog, the audio edition. And so, man, I wish you would put in your username because I would have loved to have seen if I remember or recognize the name from going back. I mean, that's going back. God, that's nearly 20 years ago. And yeah, I remember we won podcast of the year the one year. And I still remember I found out at like 2 a.m. and I went down, me and my buddy, who was a co-host of the show at the time. He lived in the same building as me. And I tried calling his phone, but he was asleep. And I was so excited. I went down and pounded on his door and woke him up in the middle of the night. Say, "Hey, we won podcast of the year." That's going back a ways, dude. Man, that's going back a ways. Anyway. All right. What's next?
Josh says, "Hi, John and the crew. In Karate Kid Legends, they changed the story of Mr. Han. Did you see Karate Kid Legends yet?"
I didn't bother.
Okay.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
But you saw the one with Jackie Chan. Okay. So
yeah, I did. I actually like that movie quite a bit.
he says they changed the story of Mr. Han, that he was a maintenance worker, and then changed it to be a Kung Fu teacher, even though he had never had a Kung Fu school. How is it all of a sudden he has a school in the movie? Was he in that movie?
Dude, how long ago was that Karate Kid
They
movie?
had to have yeah.
Like, how long ago was that movie? So,
I
like, a
have to
lot
look.
of things could have happened. Again,
Right.
now I'm saying this is somebody who didn't watch Karate Kid Legends yet. But are you looking up the release date for Karate Kid?
Yeah.
Yeah, what it's got to at
The
least
2010, The Karate Kid.
so 15 years ago.
Mhm.
So again, I'm speaking of this of having not seen the movie, so I'm not sure of all the details, but that doesn't sound like a problem to me. Like, could have been that he might have been an instructor prior to being the maintenance guy. And then in the 15 years since, and after the events of his Karate Kid movie, he could have opened a school and started being a teacher. So I mean, on its surface, to me, it doesn't look like there's any problem there on the surface, at least at any rate. All right, what's next?
James says, "Did you see that Superman is tracking for a domestic opening of 145 to 175? That would be amazing."
I don't believe it.
That's kind of crazy.
I don't believe it. Listen, I hope it does that well. It's my number one most anticipated film of the year. I don't think it'll open that big. I just think there's too many things working against it right now. And I mean, if it does, awesome.
Yeah.
I just don't see it happening, but I hope they do. That would be great.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Dookie Shoes. Hey, y'all. John, I felt the same way as you in regards to season 2 of Squid Game. One day I decided to give it a watch and actually loved it. They introduced a certain wrinkle to the story that gets you hooked. Definitely suggest checking it out.
Yeah, again, I gotta say, a lot of people, including Rob, have been telling me it's actually quite good. I never thought it looked bad. Whatever to me just felt like the same thing. So I just lost my interest in watching it, even though I love season 1. But with everybody telling me how good it is, and this trailer for season 3, which I think looks great, it's kind of re-sparked my interest to go back and watch season 2 now. So I'll probably get on that pretty soon. All right, what's next?
Monkey Tongue says, not sure if it was talked about. I heard a report that Blade, as it originally was going to be, is no more. Its story and place in the MCU is originally doing the multiverse, which is coming to an end. What are your thoughts?
I never heard that it was going to be multiverse. I heard it was going to be a period piece, that it was going to be set
in the 20s, I think, or something like that, or 30s.
20s or 30, the 1920s or 30s or 40s, stuff like that is what I had heard. I mean, I would imagine at this point, like, look, if Marvel had the story they really wanted, and all they needed to do was just kind of tweak it and fine tune it,
Yeah.
to get it to a place that they felt better about it, this movie would have been in production already. The fact that it's not tells me that they at some point went right back to the drawing board. Now, I still don't know if this movie's ever going to happen. I mean, it probably will, but whether it happens ever with Mahershala Ali, I'm not really sure about that yet. I hope it does. But yeah, it would make sense to me that if they were going to keep any part of that other story, that it would have happened by now. And it seems to me more logical that they probably went back to the drawing board. All right, what's next?
We got Anonymous. Just watched the first John Wick. What a classic. Great. Such a great storytelling, from killing his dog to taking his car. John Leguizamo bitch slapping the boss's son.
That was one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, and he got away with it. The boss calls with the best line in the movie. Oh. Is it fair to call this movie a classic? I think a modern classic? I don't know.
As much as I love John Wick, and I'm so excited about seeing Ballerina, I wouldn't call the original John Wick classic. I don't think it's got that big of a thing yet. But I'll tell you it is one of my absolute favorite moments in movies. When the mob boss calls John Leguizamo and he says, "Why did you hit my son?" And he says, "Well, sir, it was John Wick's car."
Yeah.
And the camera cuts back to the Russian mobster, and the only word he says is, "Oh." Like, that explains everything.
And he hangs up.
You beat the shit out of my son, and now I get it. Now I totally get it. And honestly, again, I know I harp on this all the time, and I love all the John Wick movies. Like, I didn't super love 2, but I still really liked it. I loved 3, and I love 4. But one of the things that I think that the John Wick universe lost, and it looks like they're going to try to bring it back a little bit with Ballerina, was in the first John Wick movie. And you guys have heard me talk about this before. John Wick was the boogeyman. He was the Baba Yaga. Nobody wanted to fuck with John Wick because he's John Wick. He is the Baba Yaga. That even when the head of the Russian mob hears it, he's like, "Oh." And the first thing he does is call to try to reason with. He calls John Wick, say, "John, listen, my son, I get it." Bloop, hangs up on, right? But then when you move forward, and this is the one problem I have with the John Wick movies, move forward, nobody's scared of John Wick anymore. Like, he was the Baba Yaga, but now he's just some guy. It's like, oh, there's a hit on John Wick, and thousands of hitmen. I'll go take a shot at John Wick. I've got no problem going after John Wick. Whereas, like, in the first movie, I feel like if a bounty had been taken out on John Wick in John Wick 1, then there would have been a scene in that movie where all the hitmen were looking at their phones and seeing, oh, $10 million for killing John Wick.
Like,
And the scene would have been every one of those hitmen going, "Fuck no."
Yeah. I like my face where it is.
Yep, just turn off the phone. Yeah. Like that. But in every other John Wick movie, it's like, "Oh yeah, John Wick, who cares? We'll just go after John Wick." Like, nobody's scared of John Wick. Stupid. That's what it was, one of the key parts of the mythology in the first one. And I really hope that in Ballerina, I hope that, because you see in the trailer for Ballerina, where like she's like, "You're the one they call Baba Yaga," like that. They need to bring that awe back, and I hope when they do John Wick 5, which they are doing, they bring that back as well. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Juan says, just saw Bring Her Back, and wow, it's daytime scary, just like Midsommar was. A lot of disturbing scenes involving children. I wear my FDM Kids badge proud after experiencing this. The Philippou brothers are now theater day one directors for the next movie.
You know, it's so funny because Bring Her Back was one of the movies they gave us a presentation for at CinemaCon, and I didn't think it looked good. I'm just being honest. I didn't think it looked good, but I'm hearing it's quite good. And it didn't do great at the box office this week, but it did make about $7 million in its opening week. But I'm hearing nothing but good things about it. So I'm going to have to get around to going to see it. All right, what's next?
Adam Devine says, have you heard any updates on the next Into the Spider-Verse movie? Also, I work at Epic Universe and How to Train Your Dragon. I look forward to hopefully seeing you in the park.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. Ann and I are planning a trip that will probably be sometime in September or October, where we are going to hit the road and go down to Florida and go to Epic Universe. We're really looking forward to it. As far as the new Spider-Verse movie, nothing. I haven't heard anything. And I'm starting to get, as a massive fan of that franchise, kind of pissed off. Like literally, I'm not hearing any movement whatsoever on it. And I really would like to hear something soon because I love this franchise and it should have been out already. All right, what's next?
Funny follow-up to that comment. Aiden Foley says, hey, John, hope all is well. My friend, whenever you get the Campea camper, a.k.a. your van, please come to Orlando, Florida. Our city has the most horseshit roads, but you got a lot of fans here.
So absolutely. Once we do get the van, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll put up I've talked about it a little bit on the, on open mics, but I'll make a dedicated video about it this week. So you guys know what we're talking about, but yes, once we get the van, again, one of the first places we're going is going to be going to Florida, to the Orlando area, because we want to go to Epic Universe. We'll probably plan to drive down there and probably be there for a week or something like that to take it in. I'll still do the show, because I'll get to do the show remotely. Jonathan will be here in studio to run the show, and I'll be on the road. But we are definitely coming to Florida, and it'll be this year. So maybe we'll arrange a fan meet and greet when we're down there. All of 2 people will show up. All right, what's next?
We got, Jerome. I'm asking, you may have answered this, but I'm asking a question again from open mic because the stream cut off. Does Warner Brothers have to get Ryan Coogler's permission to do a sequel of Sinners?
Yeah, I was doing I did the open mic this weekend, and somebody said that the live stream froze for like a minute. And I didn't know where it did. So I guess that's the question, where it froze. I did answer it, but here's the thing. The answer is normally no. They don't need to get Ryan Coogler's permission. The studio owns the movie. But I don't know the details of Ryan Coogler's contract. There's already something very unique, Jonathan. I don't know if you knew about this.
Yeah.
There's already something very unique in Ryan Coogler's contract with Sinners.
Yeah.
He actually gets the rights to the movie in 30 years.
I thought it was 25 or
25
like
or 30 years. That is very rare.
Yeah.
Very rare that a studio would let that be in a contract, but it was. So the answer is normally, yes, a studio can make a sequel to it with or without the original film's director. Doesn't matter. They paid for it. They're the ones who own it. But it all depends on what's in Coogler's contract. And unless I read his contract, which I never will because it's private, but unless I read his contract, I can't know for sure. All right, what's next?
We got, sorry, let me just do this real quick. There we go. Anonymous, give one a sequel, reboot, 8 episodes streaming. So for sake of relevance, whichever one gets a sequel would have gotten it a few years after the original. Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow. Sahara, that was with McConaughey, right? Miss Sahara?
Yes.
And iRobot. iRobot probably deserves more the sequel, maybe?
I don't know. I think the whole thematic thing, like when iRobot came out, it was kind of a fresh idea, even though it was an older story.
Yeah.
But there's been so many movies and shows kind of done on that premise So what does it say? One a sequel, one a reboot.
Reboot and the 8-episode streaming adaptation.
None for any of them.
Eh,
I mean, honestly, that's my answer. By the way, and I didn't mind Sahara. I didn't mind that. Not one of his better films, but I didn't mind it all that much. And I kind of liked iRobot, but there's no point in doing a sequel to it. There's no point in doing a reboot of it because it's an overdone premise today. It wasn't at the time. And I certainly wouldn't make a season out of it. So my answer is, even though it's a bit of a cop-out, my answer honestly is to all of them, none.
those are tough ones for individual reasons. So,
All right, what's next?
all right, what's next? Writes, check out the latest episode of Alan Alda's podcast. I didn't know he had one. Clear and Vivid. He interviews actor Noah Wiley from The Pit and compare their experiences playing their respective TV doctors. Hawkeye Pierce, of course, and Dr. Robbie also. R.I.P. to Loretta Swit, who is Major Hot Lips Houlihan.
Hot Lips Houlihan. Yeah, and she passed away this
over the
week. I remember
weekend.
hearing about that. That's crazy. Alan Alda, who of course also had a really great reoccurring role on The Blacklist. And he had a significant role for a couple of seasons on West Wing, where he was like the Republican nominee for president and ended up becoming a friend to them and stuff like that. Yeah, Alan Alda's great. I had no idea Alan Alda had a podcast.
That's great.
How old is Alan Alda now?
He's I would say he's getting up there, but he's there. He has arrived.
Yeah, my guess is he's got to be in his 80s.
I know that. Even, Alan Alda right here. Let's see.
Yeah, how old does it say he is?
1936 is when he was born. So
So
I hate that on IMDb they say the birth date, but they don't say the age. So I always have to go to like.
Oh, do you know what? Just Google how
it,
old is
yeah.
Alan Alda, and that'll get. So if that would be 60, 70, 80? So
89.
He's 89. 89. Oh my God. And he's doing a podcast?
That's right.
Good for him. Okay, I'm going to have to go check that out. First of all, I never even knew Alan Alda had a podcast, but the fact that he's got one, he's doing one with Noah Wiley is pretty crazy. All right, what's next?
Brian O'Connor is a two-parter. As a full-time Man of Steel defender, it still annoys me the amount of people I come across that don't realize that Pa Kent's death scene is a flashback that takes place in 1997. It's the year I graduated. To me, it's obvious. Henry and Diane clearly look younger here. By the time of Pa Kent's death scene, Clark hasn't discovered his super speed yet. I've always appreciated Pa Kent's fears for Clark's life. I absolutely believe he would give up his own life to protect his son, even for just a little while longer.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think I've personally ever come across somebody who didn't understand that was a flashback.
Right.
But I think that is people miss the point of that scene. People totally miss the point of that scene because they see the scene and think, Clark could have saved his dad. That's not the point. The point is that his dad so firmly believed how important it was that the world not yet know about Clark. He believed Clark wasn't ready, and he believed the world wasn't ready. He believed in that so much that he was willing to die to protect Clark's secret for now, because both Clark and the world needed it to stay a secret for now. He believed it so much he was willing to die for it. And when Clark was getting ready to make his move to try to run out and save his dad, and his dad, Costner, just does this. That was Clark's ultimate exercise in trusting and respecting his dad. That was the ultimate moment of Clark trusting his dad and respecting his dad. He knew exactly what his dad thought. His dad thought that he was not ready for the world to know about him and that the world wasn't ready to know. He wasn't ready for the world to know, and the world wasn't ready to know. And that's why, it's one of the biggest made fun of moments in Man of Steel. But I'm just like, I think you're missing the boat if you don't get the power of that scene. That scene to me is incredibly powerful and incredibly moving. And if you look at it a different way, hey, it's all subjective. You look at it a different way. but I think you're missing out on something in that. I think that scene was fantastic and beautifully done. And I thought it's one of the reasons why I love that movie so much, but that's just me. All right. What's next?
Two-parter from Thomas Bombadil. Hi, team. I watched Bono's one-man show concert on Apple TV Plus,
I still haven't seen that.
and I was shocked at how emotional it was. Once I got past the side Bono himself called a whole new level of navel gazing, I was sucked into the moment and found myself really moved. It was a truly unique and intimate experience, and I can highly recommend it, even to those who aren't huge U2 fans. I'm not. Also, try and watch it with a great sound system or even headphones, because the sound mixing is phenomenal.
You know, I haven't watched it yet, and my all-time favorite band. My music tastes are very eclectic, right? Like, I'll listen to Metallica and Rob Zombie, and the next minute I'll be listening to, Bad Bunny and whatever. Like, the only thing you won't hear me listening to is country music. No disrespect to anybody who listens to country music. That's just not my taste. But my all-time favorite band is U2. And one of the things that I've always loved about the band and about, Paul Hewson, also known as Bono, is one of the things I've always loved about their music is I've always joked, Jonathan, but it's true. Most songs that hit the top 40 charts can be broken into 3 categories. The rough categories are You're Hot, I'm Awesome, and Things Are Great at the Club Tonight. Most, especially in a lot of the hip hop charts, like when you listen to it, and there's some great hip hop stuff that I love. But I mean, like, a lot of popular music is broken into one of those categories. You're hot, I'm awesome, things are great in the club tonight. And when you listen to U2's music, they're always singing about the world and about life and about, like, a lot of times, and of course they'll have some songs that are really great, like, oh, you look so beautiful tonight. Like, they'll have some love songs and everything too. Absolutely. But the majority of their great songs, when you're listening to Sunday Bloody Sunday, or Where the Streets Have No Name, or Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, or In God's Country, or on and on and on and on, Van Diemen's Land, or whatever, like, their songs are always about much bigger things. And that's one of the reasons why I've always respected them so much. And I think The Edge is one of the great musicians we've ever had. So yeah, so it's surprising that I haven't watched that yet, but I do need to get around to watching it. All right, what's next?
Raymond Barada says, I haven't watched Megan, but I saw Ivana Sakno, who is Shin, the Rogue Jedi in Ahsoka, is the villain android in Megan 2.0.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I will watch this even if I didn't watch the first one. Too much evil AI movies out there.
And I liked her in Ahsoka. I thought that was a very interesting character. I mean, not as interesting as her master in the show, but I had no idea that was her in this.
Yeah.
That's great.
I noticed later on, I'm like, that's who that is.
This final trailer for Megan 2, again, I just think is bonkers good. And I am surprised how much I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think it's going to be a fun time. All right, what's next?
We got Pop-Tart. The scene from Sinners that has stuck with me is the one where Sammy plays I Lied to You. One long shot scene. I listen to the track every day and can't wait to see Ludwig take his 3rd Oscar home. What was your favorite part of the movie?
Oh, my favorite part of the movie? I think it's the scene when the vampires first come to the door. What's the lyrics of the song? Pick poor PD dry, or whatever. And they come
do that little ditty.
Yeah, they did the little ditty and stuff like that. Like, because that, number one, the song's kind of catchy.
Yeah.
But also there's a tension in the air when they're doing it, because we as the audience know exactly what they are. Yeah, that's a great scene. There's a number of great scenes. It's a fantastic. I still think right now it's the best film of the year.
Yeah, wow. Along those lines, I just love when he's singing that. They're singing that Irish song.
Oh yeah, that is
somber.
Also one of the best parts of the movie. Yeah. Oh, so many good parts. Again, I still think that right now, I think Sinners is the best film of the year. But anyway. All right, what's next?
Ray with a $20 tip.
Thank you, Ray.
Hey, John, I just broke my Apple Watch today, and I was watching Dick Tracy yesterday. Wow. I was wondering what you think. Do you think we'll ever get an Apple Watch with FaceTime?
Yes.
Yeah. I loved Tracy for that reason and the cool villains. And do you like the movie?
No, I do not like the movie.
At my age group, I personally loved the movie because I was young enough that I just loved that. But was it video? I thought it was only radio on his wristwatch.
Oh, it's been long enough that I can't remember it. But to the core question, by the way, I just realized yesterday I was looking at my Apple Watch and I've got a couple of significant scratches on it. Now, I have the Apple Series 6.
I just don't know how you can read a text off that. My eyes are not what they used to be.
Yeah, I can still read text off of it. Here's the one problem.
Uh-huh.
Society is very iffy about putting cameras in the watches. And I think there are some legitimate concerns about that. Like I remember the first kind of smart watches that came out, they all had I remember my very first one had a camera in it. I just don't know. Now you've got the Facebook ones and Google one, the glasses that have cameras in them now. There are some very interesting questions that get raised with having cameras on you like that. So but I think, yeah, I think we're going to get FaceTime on iWatches at some point, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Okay. The second part to this, I don't believe ever came through, but it's from Oliver and says, I went to CCXP, Mexico this weekend. We had a screening of the new animated Predator movie.
That's right. I heard they did Killer of Killers, a screening of it there.
My expectations were very low given that it's animated and straight to Disney Plus. But the truth is, although it's not going to be the movie of the year, I guess I'm assuming he really liked it. But the second part just never
sent it in multiple times.
Yeah, but the second part never came through.
Well, you know, I think we'll cover this tomorrow. Like you saw today, guys, we were loaded to the teeth with topics today, so I didn't have room. But I saw that the first reactions for Killer of Killers coming out of the fans coming out of that screening down there were all very good. So we'll probably cover that more. We'll probably cover that on tomorrow's show. I know Rob's really excited about it as well, but we'll probably have to take a look at that and cover the reactions coming out of it.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Sci-Fi Extremists. Hey, John, you mentioned wanting Star Wars to move forward and get away from the Skywalker stuff. Would you want an original story set in an era we know nothing about, no mention of the Empire, etc.? Or are you saying original the way of Mandalorian? And then it's a two-parter. So he goes on to say, I'm a prequel fan. I was born in 94. That's my Star Wars. And as much as I would love more Clone Wars stories, I get the not going backwards. Acolyte attempted to do something we have
We haven't seen
yet. But would you want to go into the past again?
No, I don't want to go. Like, again, if you go Old Republic, fine, because that's like 5,000 years of the past. And I respect everybody who likes the prequels. I think they're steaming piles of hot dog shit, every single one of them. But I mean, I love that there are people who love them, right? Like, if you watched the movie and liked it, that's great to me, but it doesn't change how I feel about them. But that being said, I really do want them to move forward. And there doesn't have to be even if you move 50 years into the future, I don't mind mentions of the Empire. That was a significant moment in the history of the galaxy. That was a huge, so I don't mind mention of that or anything like that. But I really do want to see the story progress. Newish. Bring in the Yuzhang Vong. Or anything else for that matter. Like, just bring in something else to create new stories. And by the way, I want there to be in episodes, 10, 11, and 12. I think the individual movies should be isolated stories. And then the main numerical Star Wars thing should be things that have galactic impact, galactic level impact. So like, whether it's a Chiss invasion or a Yuzhang Vong invasion or something like that has to rally, that has implications for the whole galaxy, that should be the ones that have episodes 10, 11, 12. It doesn't have anything to do with the Skywalkers or anything like that. It's time. We've moved past that. So that's what I would ideally like to see. All right, what's next?
We got I Am Jack says James Cameron just announced today that his company bought Joe Abercrombie's book, The Devils. They're co-writing the script. Great author. This is crazy cool news. I wonder if he'll just produce, because when does he have time?
Yeah, he's literally, don't expect him to be directing anything. Like, he's got Avatar movies for the next 6 years that he's going to be working on. And at that point, he's going to have to be getting close to retiring. But at any rate, I've heard this story, but I don't know what Devils is. Like, I don't know anything about it.
I haven't read it. I don't know.
So I can't think of it. What you are likely going to get is a Alita Battle Angel situation where he probably gets the rights to it, and then he'll go out and hire some director to make it. Don't expect that you're going to see James Cameron directing this because his dance card is like totally full. All right, what's next?
Stubble McShave says, I'd like to see a miniseries, 6 to 10 episodes of Luthen and Clea that's set in the time of the flashbacks. It should be in the style of Lone Wolf and Cub and be episodic, not serialized. Although I'd like Tony Gilroy to do it, but he never will.
And they never should. They should not make that. We've got everything we need to know about Luthen and Clea's relationship and what the key moments were that brought them to what we had in Andor. Enough with the prequels. Enough with telling movies and stories of characters that we've already got and we've already know their stories and all that kind of stuff. Like, look, I'm not going to lie. If they made it, would I watch it? Well, of course I would, but I would much rather than make something else. It's time to move forward. Luthen is one of the greatest characters in Star Wars now, as far as I'm concerned. You did him justice. No point in going backwards. Tell new stories. All right. Do we have more?
Just a couple more.
You know what? I think we're going to have to save those for tomorrow because we're already over time.
All right.
So if we haven't gotten to your question yet, don't worry. We'll pick up on tomorrow's show with it. But guys, that'll do it for today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. I hope you guys will consider coming back and joining us again tomorrow. A big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Big thanks to Robert Meyer Burnett. We'll see him again tomorrow. Big thanks to Jonathan Voico.
See you guys tomorrow.
And the biggest thank you to you guys for making our show a part of your day and spending your precious time with us. That'll do it for us for now, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.